I want to talk tonight about terrorists along the route. Amen. Say it with me tonight. Terrorists along the route. Amen. Amen. In 1897, the Boston Marathon was begun by a group of cities in the greater Boston area. Started out with 18 participants in 1897 and has grown to more than 20,000 as an annual registrant of participants that participate in the Boston Marathon. The highest number was in 1997 with more than 38,000 participants, almost 36,000 people finished running the Boston Marathon. Now, a marathon is not concerned about whether one comes in first. The concern of a marathon is that you finish. And all of us know that the third Monday in April, Patriots Day, there were two young men supposedly from Chestia who planted bombs along the route. And I want you to remember that they placed those bombs close to the finish line. And they chose close to the finish line because they were trying to keep many of them from finishing. Now I lift that tonight as the springboard for my message tonight, because you and I are also bothered by terrorists. There are terrorists in the church along the route as we make our way up the King's Highway. And the terrorists know that they cannot keep us from getting in the race. But it's their job, they feel, to keep us from finishing. And I want to talk to you tonight about this route that you and I are on. We know that the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to those who endure to the end. And I want to suggest tonight that many of our churches are in trouble because there are terrorists. There are people along the way who tries to keep you and I from finishing. Now, I see bewilderment on some faces, so let me show you where I'm going with this tonight. Now, when you think about a terrorist and you think about these young men, first of all, I want to suggest that terrorists know how to look inconspicuously. Amen. When you look at those two young men, one 26, the other 19, they don't look like terrorists. Amen. They know how to fit in. They look like that they were just like all the other spectators. And I've discovered that to be true, that there are people who will put gloves on and look like ushers. Amen. But they are terrorists. Amen. There's some people that will put choir robes on and look like choir members. And preachers that put suits on and put collars on, and look like preachers, but yet they are terrorists because they are engaged in activity that will hinder others from running the race. Amen. And I believe that you're having that problem in this area right congregation, amen, who confess to be saved, amen, who confess to be children of God, amen, who look like missionaries, but hell on wheels. Come on, help me preach this tonight. I'm talking about terrorists along the route, and I'm not afraid that there are many people that don't make it. And they don't make it because when they come into church, they get involved with the terrorists. Amen. Every one of us know folk that used to be a part of us. Amen. Folk come to church, get saved, come 2 or 3 months, and all of a sudden you don't see them no more. And that's because some terrorist got a hold of them. Some terrorist has literally caused them to not finish the race that they started. I may be talking about some of your children tonight that you brought up in church until some church hellion got a hold of them. Amen. I may be talking about one of your neighbors that it took you years to get them to come to church. And then finally, when you got them to go to your church, then some hellion got a hold of them and literally will run them off. Terrorists in the church know how to look like they are us. Amen. But they are really not a part of us. In fact, that's what Paul says. He said that there are some folk who were really never a part of us. When you look at these young men, good-looking young men on television, they look like they would be the kind of young men that would be bombing and maiming and killing folk. And even in your church, you'd be surprised of the undercurrent. You'd be surprised at the folk that's really causing the mess in your church. You'd be surprised at the people that's really running the folk off that you are winning to Christ. I agree with you, Pastor, that we ought to care, but there are some folk in the church that don't care. And they will run more folk off out the back door than you will ever bring in the front door, because there are people along the journey who are terrorists. And we got to admit it tonight that we got folk who look like us, look holy, look sanctified, look saved, got on all the regalia, got her dressed down around her ankles and looking all holy, all sanctified, don't wear makeup, in fact, just look all holy. And that's what they look like on the outside. And when you look at these young men, they look like good American young men, but on the inside, they are terrorists. Because terrorists are able to destroy us because they know how to look inconspicuously. And how many of you know that you got to have a spirit of discernment? I mean, you got to have the spirit of discernment. Well, you don't believe everything everybody tells you. Amen. You don't believe everybody who comes in with a black suit on talking about they've been called. You don't believe everybody that come in your church talking about the Lord sent me here. Because sometimes they don't know who the Lord is. And sometimes they're listening to a different drama. They're terrorists along the route. And if you're not careful, they will hinder you. They'll cause you to go home. They'll cause you to get out the choir. Amen. They'll cause you to quit the usher bowl. They'll cause you to stop tithing. They'll cause you to stop blessing your pastor. They'll cause you to stop giving to the benevolent fund. They will cause you to stop trying to build your church. Because they are terrorists and they know how to look inconspicuously. But there's a second thing about terrorists. Not only do they look inconspicuously, but terrorists lack inhibition. Now, what that means is that terrorists will do anything, even if it means killing themselves. You see, a terrorist don't mind dying. And you see, a terrorist will kill themselves if it means that they can kill you. Is there a witness in here? That's what would cause young men to get in an airplane and literally fly an airplane into the World Trade Center, because they don't care whether or not they die. They'll get on a bus, they'll get on a train, they'll blow themselves up if it means killing you. Same thing in the church. There used to be a time when folk had conscience. Amen. There used to be a time when folk in the church didn't want certain stuff to get out. Amen. I said there used to be a time when folk in the church had pride. And even if they did sin, they didn't want nobody to know it. But we got a group of folk in the church now with no inhibition. They'll let it all hang out. They don't care about your reputation. They don't care about their reputation. They don't care who know it. They will destroy you even if it means destroying themselves, because they lack inhibition. You know, any part of your body, if you lose it, give me a little more volume on this. Any part of your body that you lose, you can get a prosthesis for it. Amen. You lose a leg, you get a prosthesis. Amen. If you lose a head, they'll give you another one. You can get something else. But the one thing that there is no prosthesis for is a conscience. That when you have lost your conscience, there is no replacement for a dead conscience. And I'm mighty afraid in our churches that there are people in the church with no conscience. They let it all hang out. You got women in the church that will literally come to church with their man woman. Come on, talk to me tonight. You got men in the church. You got preachers in the church that's talking about, I don't have a right. I got a first gentleman. I saw the other day a woman that's pastoring a church up in Maryland. She doesn't have a man for a husband. She's trying to be the husband. And she got a first woman there. What I'm trying to tell you is that there is no conscience in the church. I want to have a witness. And that's why you and I got to be careful. Because there are folk along the route that will literally pull you into their sin. And all they want to do is expose you. There are people that will come to you in sheep clothing, but they're literally ruled in their heart. And all they want you to do is fall. They just want you to take a drink with them. She just wants you to meet her for coffee. They just want you to fall. And they don't care who knows. They will let it hang out. They will tell where you're at. One motel you went to, what you drink while you were there, and how long you stayed. They will literally tell everything because they don't have inhibition. And one of the things that is destroying us is that we have failed to recognize that there are people who are among us that look like us, dress like us, sing like us, try to pray like us, have the same demeanor, but they are terrorists at heart. Amen. Inhibition. There ain't nothing that they won't do. Talk back to me tonight. I know that some of you are literally in shock. The kind of stuff you see in church now. The kind of stuff that you see in your family now. It used to be if women were gay, at least they would hide it from the family. But she'll bring her woman to dinner. I won't help you in here. Because they don't have any inhibition. And then there are some parents that side with their gay children. And I ain't just trying, you know, whatever you want to do is your thing to it. But don't try to force it on me. Don't try to force me to give you rights. Don't try to force me to change God's definition of marriage. Don't try to change what God has said. If you're going to let the hair hang, just let it hang and go to hell. But don't try to force it on me. And they lack seen some parents that side with their children. Pastor get up and preach against sin. They'll take the children, everybody, and go somewhere else where the preacher ain't preaching against sin. And sometimes where the preacher was a sissy. Come on, help me. Sometimes where the whole church is nothing but punks and religion. Because they're terrorists alone to root. And if you're not careful, they will cause you not to finish the race. Don't you let folk run you off. Because they have no inhibition. They'll do anything. They'll say anything. I ought to have a witness again. When I first went to my church 20 years ago, a woman came in my study. And she's sitting there just talking, won't talk to me. And next thing you know, she's thrown her leg up on the couch. Amen. That's a terrorist. Trying to pull your dress up. Amen. To try to seduce the pastor. Amen. I said, she's a terrorist. Ought to have a witness. I'm going to do revivals, and when the revival is over, women putting notes in my hand and giving me phone numbers, and that's a terrorist. I'm going to where they call my room. I don't know how they found out where I'm staying, but they call my room and asked me if I want some company. Nothing but terrorists. And thank God I had sense enough to know that if I had said yes before the night was over, everybody in town would have known it, because terrorists don't have inhibition. And how many reputations are being destroyed and being run by terrorists in the church? Ought to have a witness in here. Ought to have a witness in here. Your husband wasn't looking for nothing, but the terrorist made it too convenient. Come on, help me again. Your child wasn't looking for nothing, but that girl just made it so convenient. And that's how he got caught up and got a baby out of wedlock. It's because he ran into a terrorist. Now there is no replacement for a dead conscience. For a dead conscience. And when your conscience is dead, there is no prosthesis. There is nothing to replace it. And that's what's happening in so many of our churches. And there's so many people that the enemy sins. Amen. That's why you got to be careful who you let come into fellowship. You got to be careful where you're not concerned about numbers. And you make sure that people know who Jesus is. Ought to have a witness in here. So when these churches just take anybody in, time you get them in, you put them in position, start trying to put them to work. You don't know you're putting a terrorist to work. Did you know how to work her way in? Make it look like she's a missionary. And before long, she's in position. And the next thing you know, the mission is torn up. They come in with their beautiful voices, singing like angels. But before you know it, the church in the choir has been torn to pieces because we have invited terrorists into the fellowship. These young men were not illegal immigrants. They were young men that we let come in. They were men that we invited in. And it's the same thing in our church. The people that's tearing up our churches are people that we're giving the right hand of fellowship to. It's people that we are inviting in. It's people that we're giving position. It's people that we are elevating. But they are people without conscience. But finally tonight, this text suggests to me that terrorists look inconspicuously, look like one of us. Then terrorists lack inhibition. But the third thing tonight is what terrorists are not counting on is investigators. Amen. Well, their boys were not counting on is that there was somebody that said, this ain't gonna work. You bombed the World Trade Center. The Twin Towers have come down. But you're not gonna do this in Boston. You're not gonna tear up nothing else. There are loyal investigators that literally hunted them down. They looked at every phone record that was made during the time of the bombing. And they were able to trace the telephone. And they were able to trace it back to them. Because there are loyal investigators. And I came to tell you tonight that God needs some loyal investigators. Somebody in the church, I ain't trying to make you no church nigga, but somebody in the church, when you hear them talking, when you hear them plotting, when you hear them saying that you'll go to the pastors and say, I ain't trying to stop nothing, but I heard Sister Jones talking about how she just looks at you and how she dreams and what she fantasizes about you. Somebody got to be a loyal investigator. There are a whole lot of preachers that would not have been trapped if you had opened your mouth and said, watch out for Sister Cynthia. She got an eye on you. We need some loyal investigators that would literally uncover them and pull the cover off of these terrorists. I came to tell you tonight. I ain't going to get on here tonight, but I came to tell you that terrorists got to be exposed. That some of these church folk got to be exposed for who they are. We got to pull the cover off of these people with these hidden agendas that come in to tear up, that come in to tear out. They come in with an agenda. They came in to trap you. I said, and we got to expose them. Somebody got to have enough God in them to say, I heard him talking. I heard him talking. He's got his eye on me. Terrorists got to be exposed. Not only does terrorists need exposing, but then terrorists got to be extracted. And what that means is that you got to get terrorists out. If you don't get them out, a little leaven will mess up the whole roof. Is there a witness in here tonight? One bad apple will make the whole barrel go bad. And you got to extract them. You see, churches, sometimes we make members so bad that we let terrorists stay. We know they're troublemakers. We know they're causing problems. We know they ain't really no good. We know they don't mean us no good. But they give $10 in the offering. But we got to extract them. The terrorists got to be extracted. There are witnesses in here. Terrorists got to be exposed. Terrorists got to be extracted. Then finally terrorists may have to be eliminated. That's what happened the other week. That 26-year-old got eliminated. This 19-year-old, they pulled him out of the boat. They extracted him because terrorists must not be allowed to toil up the work of God. It's time for me to take my seat tonight, but I came by to tell you that every one of us, we are running a race. Hebrews says in chapter 12, verse 1, since we are encompassed about with such a great crowd of witnesses, let us run this race. Now the first thing we got to do is we got to pull off every weight. You see, there are some things that are not sin, but it's weight. Is that witness in here tonight? And I heard him say that if you're going to run perfectly, you got to pull off weight. Those things that keep you the race. I'm determined I ain't gonna let nobody stop me from running. And I don't intend to run well all these years and then get old and then get to the point and let some sweet talking something or some smooth talking something come in and blow me out the water. I've gone through too much. I'm laying too well. Get to the end of the time. This text asks a question tonight. You ran well, but what has hindered you from obeying the truth? You know what the terrorists are after? Truth. That's what the terrorist is after, is truth. You know why terrorists want truth? Because the truth that you know liberates you. The truth that you know sets you free. Terrorists after truth. Don't be so impressed by what folk look like on the outside. Take your time and discern the Spirit by the Spirit. Take your time, take your time, take your time, take your time. Don't you count on folk not messing themselves up. You saying, well, she ain't gonna mess me up, or he ain't gonna put me out there because he don't want to be out there. Don't you count on that. Because terrorists, they don't care. They'll kill themselves. They'll destroy their reputation if it means destroying yours. But thank God that there are some loyal investigators that will expose the terrorists, extract the terrorists, and if need be, eliminate the terrorists. God bless you.